Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I would like to do a correction, a story, an apology, all about the Scrappy Sunshine block of the month. Now, as we were sewing these blocks, it has come to my attention that the star points, the sunshine, the points were not matching the seam allowance. And to be honest with you, some of mine were not matching either. So this really baffled me. I went back and I looked at everything and I couldn't figure out what I had done wrong. Well, what I had done wrong is I originally designed the quilt so that the points did not match the seam allowance. And that way we didn't cut off of those little points. The star or that sunshine was pulled in a little bit, but we would still have those beautiful points. But as I was doing the video, I thought, oh, I'm going to give you another option and give you a template. As soon as I put the template into play, I totally forgot that I was not designing this to hit that point. So if you use the template method with the block of the month, you're going to find those points are going to match right to the seam allowance. If you did the drawing method, you're going to find that your points are pulled into the block a little bit. And I would like to thank everyone who let me know that their points were not matching up as well. It made me ponder, why? Let me show you how I made that mistake. And if you have not made the block, I do have a correction. So this is the block that I am talking about. And this is my original sample. When I did my sample, if you look, you will see that I do have 1/4 inch seams in pencil lines marked. And what I did is I designed the quilt so that these points would be up inside of that mark. So when you sewed the next piece on, the points were inside of that block. And that way there was no chance of cutting off those points. Now in theory, this was perfect if I had remembered it, and if I had remembered it enough to tell you this is how I originally designed it. But I was sewing this along with you. And as I was making these blocks, I thought, oh, I'm going to give you a template. And that way you have two ways of making this block. You could do the drawing method and the template method. And as soon as I put that template in, I forgot that I did this little modification. So if you did the template, your points will go right to that seam allowance. If you did the drawing method, your points are going to be in. You're still going to have those beautiful points. They're just not going along that seam allowance. So let me show you what the difference was with this drawing one. Our original block started at 4.5 inches. I did have us find a center point up at the top. We drew a line from that X to this point. So this is now a stitching line. When we do this method, when we go right to the corner, our point will not hit the seam allowance because this does not hit the 1/4 inch mark. Let me show you the 1/4 inch on this side. What we would need to do is draw a 1/4 inch intersection right here in this corner. So this X now joins up to this X. So now when we stitch our 1/4 inch seam allowance, that intersection is going to match. So if you look, this line does not hit that corner. This is going to give us that perfect 1/4 inch going in both seams. The other side, it does not. So when we're stitching our 1/4 inch and stitching our 1/4 inch, we are off. We will still have that perfect point, but it's up. It's into the block. Where the other side, you can see where that point will come right to that seam allowance. Now by doing it this way, you definitely need to be very accurate on that 1/4 inch seam allowance. If not, you can cut off that little tip. And that's why my original plan, I was doing it this way. And that way, when you did your seam, if your seam allowances were off a little, we still had that perfect point. And unfortunately, I forgot about that. So therefore, I forgot to tell you about that modification. So if you have not made these blocks yet, now you have 3 options. You have the template method, you have the original drawing, which means you will still have points, but they come into the block, or you can make that modification and put that secondary X down in that bottom and draw your stitching line from this point all the way down to that point, which means it's not right in that corner. I will put a link in the description to the April video where we did make this block. And that way you are going to be able to refer back to it. Either method is going to be fine. The template, the perfect 1/4 inch, or the off 1/4 inch will still work out fine. It just means that your point is up, but we still have the points. So if you use the template, those points are going to match right to that seam allowance. If you did the drawing method, your points are going to be pulled in a little bit. Either way, it's still going to be a fun quilt. And once again, I apologize that I forgot to tell you that the points were not going to match the seam allowance, but they still were going to be pointy. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I do have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.